As the leader of the Booner Path, I lead from the front.
All right, boys. Lock in.
It's our core foundation, man. Grit.
I'm fired up. I'm fired the f*** up, boys.
It's pumping right now. It's got my juice pumping, boys.
Welcome to the Crunch Time Sports Show with Jeff Iafrate and Booner here on Crunch Time Sports. It's Tuesday, March 17th, and we had some news happen before we started the show. The Lions are signing a defensive player. We'll get into it. We also are having Flannel on in the second hour. We'll talk about free agency. He'll give his opinion on some of the free agents, what the Lions will do. I think later in the show, we'll also get to some mock drafts. We'll talk about Brad Holmes, his drafting ability compared to other contenders since 2021. And yeah, they also, officially, we're kind of getting into this who else will they sign conversation we've been talking about the last couple of days. They signed someone just as of like 15 minutes ago, and we have some more information on some other guys that could be picked up by the Lions. So should be a good show, starting off with a new signing, which is always a good start to a show. Always.
Yeah, it's a massive start. And I'll tell you what, it's not even like, hey, we just new signing. Oh, we got a backup corner. We got a backup nickel. The fella's got an edge rusher, man. Can we just give do we have like a sound or something? We got an edge rusher. How about that? Come on, man. I mean, and it's not even, it's one of those things too. And we're going to get into everything about, I think it's DJ Wanham is how you pronounce it. And we'll get into all of that, but I think it's just exciting to where it was like we're sitting there waiting for an edge rusher. I think a lot of people were expecting like a low tier, a low level edge rusher where like Brad's going to get a low level guy, and he went out and got a guy who has I would say, Jeff, and I'm gonna let you go in and then I'll give my spill on it, but I would say a guy that has a lot of experience and still kind of a ceiling where you're like, all right, this can be our number two if he reaches his ceiling. And it's a guy that's not constantly hurt. Like he played a lot of games last year, and you finally have a piece where it's like, okay, now we're starting in the D line room. I actually texted you guys this right before the show. I don't know if you saw the text, but to me, I texted you boys and said, hey, like I actually really like the signing because if you signed DJ here and you somehow land Joey Bosa still or a Cam Jordan or even not even like a guy, a level player like that, but you land another free agent that's like DJ, then guess what? You add someone in the draft, boom, in my opinion, your D-line room's already upgraded from last year because you got guys over Marcus Davenport, Josh Pascal, Levi O, who are actually going to hopefully be healthy and give you production. So I think this is a good step. I think it's maybe people can take a little deep breath right now. Should we do it together, Jeff? You
know what? I will say
we're good.
Positive in this. I feel like we've been talking about the negative, and this deserves a little bit of light of positivity for sure. Because the signings that we've been seeing over the last week, for the most part, have been on offense and defense, but everywhere but the defensive line. So people are kind of, pissed off, and I understand completely. And, I've shown that, and, people are commenting, Jeff's too negative and all this stuff. So I'm sure, I'm going to give a little bit of positivity. So I actually don't mind the signing. You nailed it. DJ Wanham. He's played 6 years in the NFL. He's totaled 30 sacks in 6 years. He's 28 years old. And he pretty much got the same deal as Al-Quadin Muhammad. It's pretty similar, actually. I don't know about the whole specifics, but I know the contract is really similar. You see the 1 year deal worth up to $6 million, which is exactly what AQM got. We talked about that. And Detroit didn't, try and bring him back. So they were probably trying to get an upgrade, or at least in their eyes, an upgrade. And DJ Wanham has a better resume coming to Detroit than AQM did. Like before AQM got to Detroit, he had 15 career sacks. So He had 15 career sacks in about, I think a year or two longer than DJ Wanham. And his career high in sacks was 6. DJ Wanham, before he got to Detroit, DJ Wanham's put up 8 sacks twice. He did it in Minnesota twice. And then in Carolina, he's had 4 sacks, 3 sacks. And so he's already a more productive player coming to Detroit. They're very similar. I brought this up to you just in terms of height and weight. They're about 250 pounds each. So I think he's a player that you can definitely use. I like his versatility. I'll state that. They use him. You can use him as an outside linebacker, use him as an edge rusher, trying to set the edge. I think it's really good depth. I don't know if he'll be your starter week 1, but I know this. He's good to have in the room. I think he's he has, at least in this point, he's 28 years old. He's not some washed, player. There's just the concern in 2024, which I brought up, which, he had some injuries that he didn't play half the season. I think that's why the contract he got is what he got, though. You got a 1-year, $6 million deal. So,
yep.
I think given they are cap strapped, I like it. It's good depth. And I think people need to understand that. And I brought this up with the Joey Bosa thing. Like, I don't see, they're not going to go spend $14-15 million on an edge. I think you're going to get DJ Wanham, probably maybe one more guy, and then they go into the draft and probably draft somebody as well. And then you have an edge room with Aiden, your draft pick, who's probably a second-round pick at this point, DJ Wanham, and hopefully another free agent, and then Ahmed Hassanin, who kind of, maybe who knows what he gives you. So they're getting there. This is you're moving in the right direction. I don't hate this move at all. Everything I've read about DJ Wanham from his time with the Panthers and the Vikings is his versatility. He can play a lot of different positions, so he can do a lot of different things. So I like it. It's up to $6 million. So I mean, it's not a lot of money. If they paid this guy like 10-12 million, we'd have a different conversation. But I like the deal. And he's good. He's good depth there. And to your point, if he does hit that 8 sack mark like he did twice in his career already, he's already worth more than $6 million. And you saw what AQM did next to Hutch last year. I mean, he had 11 sacks playing and not that many snaps. I think DJ Wanham can be pretty decent for you, given what Hutch already commands as good of a defensive player as he is. So I'm not going to sit here and crap on it. I'm not going to do that today. I like it. I like it.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where it's like if you're mad about it or you're trying something where it's like, oh, like why DJ Wanham? It's all right. We've been asking Brad to get someone in that room, and you've been sitting there and everyone's been saying it, and he finally did it. And yeah, you know what? We're all not going to get the guys we want, but 1 year up to $6 million, there's obviously going to be some sort of incentives within that. And I think what people need to look at with like a DJ Wanham addition, and I thought your point actually, Jeff, with the AQM, because I came in and me and you talked pre-show just a little bit. And I said, hey, I kind of look at him as your originally my first thought, it just happened 20 minutes ago. So my first thought was, hey, this is your Marcus Davenport, like vet guy, except he played 16 games last year, and it's your Marcus Davenport that gets production. And you brought up, well, actually, it's kind of like your AQM, except he's had more production in his career. And what people need to realize, if you're like, hey, I don't love the production because why AQM just had 11.5 for you. Your point exactly, Jeff. What did AQM have before he even got to Detroit?
Yeah.
So you put a DJ Wanham in a position across from an Aiden Hutchinson in a scheme that AQM's in, and you put him in the positions that AQM's in. I'm not going to sit here and say he's going to have 11.5 because I am still a true believer that AQM's 11.5. I'm not going to take credit away from AQM at all, but like, where was that his whole career? He obviously had some games to where he was able to stack some up in some dirty time, you know what I mean, and some garbage time, and that's what it is, right? And people want to be like, well, AQM was so good at 11.5. Why didn't he get paid $12+ million after an 11.5 season? Because of the production and because of the talent. It's not actually there. It was, if you look at the kind of whole length of the season. So I think a DJ Wanham, how do you pronounce his name?
I think you got it right. I think it's DJ Wanham.
Is it?
Until we're corrected, yeah. I think that's what it is. DJ
Wanham. Okay, because I watched Wanham? I just posted 2 highlights on our channel on our Twitter. And I think they said Wanham in the video. So I'm going to stick with that. But at the end of the day, it's a 1-year deal, and it's a guy that comes in. He's essentially, and someone put in there, he's 31. Okay, that's
no, he's
fine.
20. He's not. I think he's 28.
Oh, 28. Okay. AQM's 31. Okay.
AQM
but he's 28. This is a prove it. Like, even if he was 31, it's like it's one of those prove it deals where it's like, hey, you got a 1-year contract. Go out there and get yourself another deal. Like, you want another extension? Go get it. Like, you still have your NFL career ahead of you still. So I love the signing, and I'm not going to sit here and say it's like the Joey Bosa signing that I wanted, because I still think that's in the air and it can happen. But I love for the depth of this. I think the one goal this offseason for the Lions is filling holes, but trying to upgrade at position groups that you needed to. And I think offensive line wise so far, that was the number one thing. They upgraded their offensive line from last year. So check box for Brad Holmes, correct? And I think the next step was upgrade your D line. If we want to say AQM or Marcus Davenport, whoever it was, even if you take one of those players, to me, this is an upgrade for one of those guys, right? And looking ahead, you still have time left in free agency. If they can somehow land one more just good free agent, it doesn't have to be the greatest free agent of an edge rusher, just a good free agent edge rusher, in my opinion, boom, it's a check mark for an upgrade within this edge room from last season. And I don't think there's any room that you could say that it's not, because last year you had AQM and Hutch, and then you just had guys that were on IR all year. So you're looking already right now at hey, this is a good signing. Add a couple more pieces in this D-line room, and it's an upgrade from what you're looking at last year. This is step one. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, this is the greatest thing ever. But, like, this is what we've been waiting for with the Lions and Brad Holmes is, hey, get us an edge rusher. You literally went into Thursday, March 17th. You had 2 edge rushers, essentially, and Ahmed Hassan and Aiden Hutchinson. And you're sitting there going, hey, like, you need it. You need to make moves before guys fall off the board. And they go out and get a vet that has had production, whether you like the 3 sacks last year or not. He's a guy that goes out there and he plays good. Like, he had more. I was looking at it too. Like, we talked about Kyle Van Noy last year, right? Like, he had more pressures to the quarterback than Kyle Van Noy last year. Kyle Van Noy is a big name that people wanted to talk about.
Well, he's never. I like this stat. He's never had less than 25 pressures. He's been consistent, like, in a season. I think that was like the stat that someone tweeted out. So he's had this consistency throughout his career, which, like, and I'll say it. And I feel like I need to speak up more because I've been poo-pooing on a lot of stuff the last week or so. I went live, last week, and, I was sitting there just milking and negativity. A lot of it rightfully so. But now I need to speak to those people real quick. I see it in the chat. And this is how I'm looking at it, okay? People want to call me president of the negative club. This is me speaking, all right? This is me addressing the people here. This is how I'm looking at it. We asked them to add a body in the room. They added a body in the room. In the way me and Booners broke it down, in my opinion, this is someone that, yes, it's a 1-year deal up to $6 million. Okay. They are cap strapped. They didn't want to restructure Amon-Ra, Panay, and free up more money. They're working with what they have. To me, with DJ Wanham, he's basically I already addressed it. AQM before he got to Detroit, a better version of AQM before he got to Detroit, younger, and he can drop back in coverage, which he's able to do as well. He could play. He's got versatility to him. He had an interception last year, a couple pass deflections. He's kind of a jack of all trades on defense. Now, people want to bring up the injury concerns. Well, that's why you got him for the price point you got him for. Like, that's just the reality, man. Like, I looked it up. The injury he had in 2023 that went into 2024, he tore his quad. So he tore his quad. That was the big injury. And then he had some complications from that. He had, like, blood clots in his lungs. It was like this whole thing. He missed, like, a lot of time. But he's been back. He played in 16 games last year. If he gets 5 sacks this year or 6 sacks, it's still, like, look at what the Lions have had the last couple of years, dude. But AQM had 11 last year. But before that, dude, we're looking at, like, number 2, number 3 on the Lions in sacks at, like, 7. 6.
Yeah.
Like, this dude could be 3rd in sacks on your team next year. Like, who knows? Doesn't mean they're not going to hopefully not sign another guy or address it in the draft, but it's a body in the room. It's what we asked for. And we got to be consistent with that. Like, I can't just be like, hey, bring me an edge. And they sign a guy that's actually not bad. And I have to sit here and be like, well, no, I'm not happy. I've already adjusted my expectations. They're not going to go and sign big money. And we'll get to that actually in a little bit when we talk about Cam Jordan, but yeah, I actually have the interview. You I saw this earlier. You just said, which we can play. He talks about the injury he sustained last year. By the way, the clip's from Sheena, who we met at the Combine. She covers the Panthers, and she's
she was awesome.
What she does. But here's the clip of him talking about that injury.
When did the clots develop, and how scary was that?
Oh, it was real scary. It kind of developed after my 3rd procedure. I had, like, a PICC line in my arm. That's basically a line that goes to your heart. And I had it in for like 6 weeks, and the clots started to form along that. Kind of got in my bloodstream a little bit, and I had to fight to get those out. So,
would you guess that was in the spring or early summer?
This was around OTA, end of OTAs, like May, June, around that time.
And the 3 procedures you mentioned, were those all related to the quad?
Yeah, everything's quad. Yeah.
And the first two just hadn't quite gotten it like you needed it, or how?
Yeah, it was more of a stitch rejection that I had going on underneath. So
What
I had
was that?
a stitch rejection. So my body was rejecting the stitches that they put under. They wouldn't dissolve, so they had to go in and take them out. One more time.
So there you go. And that's the clarification on what happened. Like it's a quad injury, but for most of his career, he's been healthy. I mean, he played in 14 games his rookie year, 17 games, 16 games, 15 games, had the injury, missed half of 2024, and then 16 games last year. So yeah, it's a quad injury. I understand that.
Yep.
But he's, for most of his career, it's not like he's Marcus Davenport where he's like every year he's missing half the season, if not the entire season. So there's the clarity on that. I mean, you see what they're getting in a guy like DJ Wanham. And this is 49ers fans trying to go after DJ Wanham as well, which you can see what he's doing over here. Look at this. This is what he's bringing basically to the table. I mean, this is the versatility he brings, which I really like with DJ Wanham, which I talked about. He's played coverage snaps, which AQM was never, ever going to drop back in coverage for you. Like,
no.
You remember when they used to do that, where they have like James Houston drop back in coverage? And
Yeah.
like that's basically what DJ Wanham can actually do. Like he's very versatile, which I do like. He's got versatility to him for up to $6 million. To your point, probably with incentives. So
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing that people need to look at too, because I know the conversation is going to pop up of like, well, AQM, what did AQM get? 8 million or 6 million, whatever it was.
Same thing,
like,
up to 6 million.
Yeah, and it's like, but like AQM, it's like, hey, it's the up to. Like, you do have to look at that into a sense, and obviously, like, you do have to put into context a little bit. Like, they never offered AQM a contract. Like, AQM said in his Tampa Bay Buccaneers press conference, he essentially said he never got offered by the Lions, and he was confused why he didn't. They obviously, and you know what, fans, I don't think fans can be mad about something like this, because for the last 2 months since the season ended, everyone pushed back at Brad Holmes to change this D line, right? I have, Jeff, and you know this, we've been doing a show for 3 years now together. I have for the last 3 years, even longer than that, since I started doing, covering the Lions 5 years ago. When they had the Onwuzurike brother, or not the Onwuzurike, Aquara brothers, I've been saying, man, they need to like revamp this whole D line, just take everyone out and put new guys in. And it feels like outside of Aleem and Hutch and obviously Ty League, it feels like that's what they're doing this offseason. Is Brad's like, enough's enough. I'll get rid of Josh Pascal. We're moving on from Marcus Davenport. We're letting AQM go. And like, this is, in my opinion, Jeff, like, this is what fans wanted. So if you're going to compare AQM to him, to DJ, this is what we wanted. We wanted a whole new room in there, because one, AQM wasn't great with the run. DJ is not the greatest with the run, but you get a little bit more versatility, and you get someone who has been like, to me, Jeff, it's more of a safe contract with DJ than it is with AQM. Because AQM's had this one outlier year, and you're sitting there going, can he repeat this? We don't know. Like you said, going into last year, he had 15 total sacks in his career. 15. Like, that's not that much. DJ Wanham has 30 plus within his career, and I think less seasons as well than AQM. So, like, when you look at it and you go, okay, this is a guy that's way more consistent. We can trust. The AQM thing could have been an outlier of a season, and he goes back down to the 2 sacks that he usually gets in his career anyways. And you put DJ Wanham in the position that AQM was, like, let this guy blossom, and let's see what happens. And I think to me, it's finally that this D line, they're going out and trying to find new talent, new bodies to kind of revitalize this D line, because quite frankly, this D line, you could talk about their top 5 in pressures, they're this and sacks. Like, they've struggled getting to the quarterback. They have like one of the slowest. What's the thing? I think they're like second to last in time to the quarterback. Like, that's terrible. And you have to go find guys that can get to the quarterback quick and don't stop. And you could say AQM did all this you want, but again, with AQM in that defensive line, they were second to last in the NFL in time to pressure a quarterback. That's terrible. That means a quarterback will just sit back there and have all the time in the world that he wants and just cut your defense up. And then you complain about your secondary. And then this. It's like, hey, maybe let's get a pass rush to the quarterback as fast as we can. And then we can talk about sacks and pressures. Because guess what? Quite frankly, being top 5 in sacks and pressures means nothing when a quarterback's just sitting back there majority of the game and cutting you up. So I think that's where Brad Holmes and listen, I like the fact they have a new guy in here, Jeff. That means Brad's like come to a little bit of a realization. We need new bodies. Like we need to figure this thing out. We need to go get some experience and some dudes that want to get after a quarterback. And that's what they did today. And he's not the best edge rusher in this free agency class. And if you were expecting that, you're probably in over your head anyways. It's just a solid piece in this D line. I would think, Jeff, that they're not close to being done with this D line. Like I still think they're going to get an interior defensive lineman. Whether I think DJ Reader might come back. I think they still sign another edge rusher to this D line, and then I still think they draft one in the first 2 rounds. Like I think Brad's like going to put a emphasis on this edge room this offseason, and it started with DJ Wanham here.
Yeah, think about it. How many edge rushers do they usually go into the season with? Probably 4 or 5 guys at edge. 5 guys max, somewhere rough around there. They have 3. Like they're gonna make one. I believe firmly one of those guys is gonna be through the draft. Not that you want to go in the draft and everyone knows what you're doing, but at this point it kind of is that way, and that's fine. You're probably gonna get one through the draft. They're gonna sign somebody else. So that's the reality of it. And like I said, I like the fact that he has some versatility to him, and that's where guys like AQM, like he's kind of a one-trick pony. I mean, he just is, and I mean that respectfully. He was really good at it, just getting to the quarterback. Although games he would disappear because he didn't have enough of a skill set to stay on the field consistently. That's why he didn't play a ton of snaps. AQM doesn't really bring a lot to the table other than, third down, rush the quarterback. DJ Wanham can do more to be able to play more if they need him to play. He brings more to the table in terms of his skill set for basically the same contract that AQM got. So I like his versatility, and that's the main point I'm hammering home with him is like you can do more with him. By the way, Mike, appreciate the $2. Says what I see is a truck with a flat tire. Well, I would say flat tire that got changed, and we'll see how it ages, but I wouldn't say it's a flat tire. He's 28 years old, and like I said, he played in pretty much every game last year. So appreciate the $2 though, Mike. I wouldn't go that far though. Eric, he says, "What's up, Crunch Time guys? This leads me to believe we're changing the scheme of the defense to more of a nickel package. This guy is more of a 3-4 speed rusher. What do you guys think?" I actually I like what you're saying, Eric, and I actually tend to agree with what you're saying because if you look at what they have currently right now, they let go of Alex Anzalone, and they signed some more guys that can play nickel. So I'm not saying it's the end-all, be-all. They're playing more nickel, but this leads me to believe that base defense probably won't be utilized as much. I mean, that's where the NFL's going. Everyone usually has a nickel on the field. Ben Johnson talked about it at the combine. More defenses are putting a nickel out there. That's why offenses are going bigger and throwing another tight end out there. So you could be right. Maybe they're signing Roger McCreary. They're bringing in these type of edge rushers that can do a little more with versatility. So yeah, it's depth and I like it. Let's see. TM Martinez says Wanham got worse stats than AQM. What we talked about though, TM, you got to look at his stats before he got to Detroit, because I think DJ Wanham's going to benefit playing alongside a guy like Aiden Hutchinson. That's a fact. So AQM before he got to Detroit had, like we just talked about, like 15 sacks, and Wanham has 30 before getting here. So
yeah, I'll put it to perspective as well too. Another note that people have to realize, and I just looked on PFF here, like AQM, okay, he had 11.5 sacks. Awesome. What was one of the reasons AQM they're probably moving on from him and they don't like he doesn't play on rundowns. He doesn't. He's not a run stopper. He's a pure edge rusher, right? Put this in perspective real quick. Last season, AQM 457 snaps, so about 460 snaps, correct? Only 88 out of the 460 snaps were on rundowns. 88. What's that percentage, Jeff? What's 88 divided by 460? 19%. 19% of the snaps he played on rundowns. DJ Wonnum played 745 total snaps. Jeff, what do you think his percentage of snaps are on rundowns?
I'd say like 40%.
39.1.
Oh, awesome. That's a good guess.
40. He played 291 rundowns compared to AQM's 88. They obviously were looking
He's
for
more capable of setting an edge. He can do.
Yes, they obviously were looking for an edge rusher. That if you're going to pay an edge rusher $6 million, hey, we're going to pay him $6 million, him $6 million. Well, he can only play in 450 snaps because we can't play him on rundowns. Oh, but this guy can almost play in 800 snaps, and he can almost double his snaps on the season. You see what I'm saying? Like the difference is you're basically almost getting double the snaps out of DJ Wonnum than you are of AQM for the same exact price, and he can set the edge on rundowns. And if Hutch needs a break, guess what? You go DJ Wonnum and whoever else you're about to sign. If that's Cam Jordan, if you really need it, right, on a rundown, and Cam Jordan's good on in the run game, so it's like you have that now. And it's like now it's just more versatility to where before, listen, AQM, as much as people are like, oh, stats. Like, you know what? Like, go look at Shedeur Sanders just went to a Pro Bowl because he put up stats in 3 games. Does that make Shedeur Sanders the greatest quarterback of all time because he had all these stats in 3 football games? No, it doesn't. You have to look at the context, bigger picture, all of that. And I think the fact that, he's played in over 200 more rundowns than AQM in 2025.
Yeah.
200. That's such a big difference. That's so big. You could not trust AQM.
Yeah, and it seems like Brad, I'm not speaking for him, but maybe this is a sign of Brad's like, we need more versatility with guys we have. Like, we need guys that are capable to do more than what they're doing. You know, like we need a guy that's capable to set an edge, rush the passer, and if we need him to, he can drop back in coverage. Like, he can do multiple different things. I know people want pure edges. You're going to get guys that can rush the passer. I mean, I don't think they go into the season with who they got, so they're going to add more. It just depends how much money they spend, but they're going to add more bodies in there. But for what DJ Wonnum's role will be, I think it's just fine for his contract. I mean, given it's a 1 year up to $6 million contract, there's no way they're not bringing back. I know people are talking about the Marcus Davenport thing. They're not bringing back Marcus Davenport. I think Brad knows that if he brings back Marcus Davenport, fireworks will go off. Like, no, it's not going to be good. It's going to be, the mob will show up at Ford Field, Allen Park, actually. So no, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't. But yeah, I think it's a good job by Brad with this. Now, Cam Jordan, there was some, in my opinion, this Cam Jordan thing is interesting because I saw today he went on. It was an article on NBC Sports Pro Football Talk, but he actually went on a podcast. He went on Armstead's podcast. Armstead's podcast is called The Set. And he talked about his 16th season with the Saints and kind of free agency. And he had a quote about free agency. And I want people to just read this and tell me what you think and how you process this. So this is what Cam Jordan said. He said, quote, you see guys my age re-sign with a team because that's the only team they've ever been a part of. Guys my age re-sign with the team because that's the only team they've been a part of. They're like, hell yeah, we love that. But that's to his situation. That may not be to my situation. As football players, we can only control what we can control. As much as I'd be like, hell yeah, I want them to love me as much as I love them. Sometimes the business side of that makes you feel emotional. You got to be able to take your emotions out of it. Of course, I'd love to be in New Orleans, but at the same time, if the sense doesn't make sense, we got to find our own path. I know what I want to do, what I want to accomplish. If that doesn't line up, then that's fine as well. It says here, Jordan said that he has monetary goals in mind, but also wants to be in a place that allows him to be as productive as he was while recording 10.5 sacks for the Saints last season. It remains to be seen if that will come together in New Orleans, or we'll have to get used to seeing him in a different uniform for the first time in his career. So Cam Jordan's biggest point here is I want to be paid rightfully so, and I want to be in a place I can produce. The question is, we just don't know what that number is. I want to know what he was making in New Orleans, actually.
I can look real quick if you want me to.
Yeah.
I got it here. Actually, this is what I think he was 1 year, $6 million.
Was it really?
I believe. Yeah, I mean, I don't see it. It's not really showing up here on Spotrac. But it looks like it was a 1 year, $6 million deal in 2025. Maybe 8? I don't know.
Let's just roll with that number then. Let's say it is like
Someone in the
6.
chat has a better.
Let's just call it like 7 million to be safe. Okay, 6-7 million. Here we go again.
I think it was 6 million, but I think there was bonuses for sack numbers, and then he got $2 million bonus, which put him to 8 million.
Maybe it was
that's
like a
what I'm
contract
saying
up
here.
to a certain number.
Yeah. So I think he ended up with 8 million, but it was originally in 1 year, 6 million. With
So
some
we know he
incentives.
probably wants to make a little more than that. I think
Yeah.
that's probably safe to say. So he's probably going to be more closer to maybe the 10 million mark or more guaranteed. I'm not sure how that works, but we know that from his perspective, he's like, hey, I'm 36, 37. I need to be paid rightfully so, and I need to be in a place he can produce. Now, the good news is you come to Detroit, you'll be in a place you can produce. You just had AQM get 11 sacks. Okay, so I think that's a good place for Cam Jordan. The problem is I just don't know. I think he's more affordable than Joey Bosa, but I'm curious to see what that number is. That's where I'm at. I got to see what the number is. Will the Lions pay a $10 million for Cam Jordan? Maybe so. Probably a 1 year deal, $10 million up to with incentives. I don't know. Does that make you think twice about Cam Jordan?
No. I still think I'm in on Cam Jordan no matter what. I would pay. I would pay
guess
the
it's
money.
realistic, making it more realistic, I guess, because I'm in on Cam Jordan. But do you think the Lions fork up $10 million for him, something like that, around that number?
$10 million. I don't think Brad would do it, and I don't think it's going to be 10 mil. I know he just had the number. I think what's happened with Cam is I think he's just waiting to see if a team budgets to give him a couple extra million. And the Saints are going. Listen, the Saints aren't going to, because the Saints are in a spot to where they need to save money. Like, you remember, like they were going to trade. I'm pretty sure they were going to trade Cam Jordan last year, or there was something going on even last year, off season about Cam coming back, and they were like, well. Obviously we got a new coach, a new regime. We're moving in a different direction. He still went back and played there for a year. I think it's one of those things with Cam where he might just be trying to squeeze out all the money he can. I don't know if he's worth, maybe he's worth 10 mil, but I would be willing, if you're paying 10 million, you might as well maybe get a Joey Bosa a little bit younger. And also a guy last year wasn't great in the run game, but years prior, he was top 10 in the NFL as a run defender coming off the edge. So, I would rather pay the 10 million to a Joey Bosa. Now, if Cam Jordan is between 6 to 8 million, and maybe there's some incentives in there, and it's like one of these deals where it's up to 8 million, then Jeff, I would say, heck yeah, let's do it. Let's get this thing done. And if we have to pay some incentives, we do. And if that's the case too, hey, we'll give you a bigger signing bonus. We'll have a dead cap over the next year or two, and we'll roll with it, and we'll figure out the contracts with it. But if I'm Brad Holmes, I'll tell you what, Jeff, bottom line, if I'm Brad Holmes, if I want this D-line to be up to where it is, you decide, sign DJ here, right? I would do everything I can to at least get Cam Jordan and Joey Bosa. And if you're feel like you don't have the money to do it, figure a way out to restructure Panay or Amon-Ra just for the amount that you need, right? Just a little bit more, and kind of and make sure you get one of those guys in this room at least. That's how I look at it. You find a way. And I do think, did you already put the tweet up about Cam Jordan? I'm sorry if I missed out. I was getting snaps for DJ. If I'm Cam, I'm guessing, in my opinion, I'm guessing that Cam Jordan's one of his 3 teams is the Lions. If you're connecting the dots, all of these teams so far, and that's why I think Joey Bosa is still in play, because all of these teams that needed edge rushers, majority of them have already filled that out. You're one of the few remaining teams that's a contending team technically, as a sense that within the NFL circles, you're still a team that's going to contend for a Super Bowl next year, and you're a team that also needs an edge rusher help. So I would think that one of those 3 teams are the Lions, on top of obviously Dan Campbell's relationship with a Cam Jordan from being in New Orleans. And you can even argue, Ryan said Bears too, Boone. And yeah, even with Dennis Allen as the DC, he was the head coach there. Obviously there's a connection there, but I would have to think one of those 3 teams, and you know what it could be? It could be the Saints, the Bears and the Lions. And you're sitting there, and if I'm Brad, I'm winning that. I'm restructuring guys. I'm winning that. I'm winning it.
I want to see. I'm still, to be honest with you, I'm still all in on Jadeveon Clowney because I don't think he's going to cost as much. I don't. He signed a 1-year, almost $4 million contract with the Cowboys, $3.5 million with incentives. So I wonder, like, he had a good year. You know, he outplayed his contract. It was $3.5 million. You think he makes double that? It's $7 million. Like, you could pay this guy probably $7 million. He had 8.5 sacks last year, and can set the edge, and he's younger than Cam Jordan. Like, I think Jadeveon Clowney, and I just saw Al put out a tweet that edges with the most batted passes. I think he's up there too. Like, he kind of does. He actually gives some effort, which I like from Jadeveon. And if I'm not wrong, I think he's played more. No, he signed a 1-year up to $6 million deal. That's what it was.
Jadeveon. Yeah, honestly, I don't hate the Jadeveon. I think it's one of those things where just get one more kind of veteran piece in there that you know is going to get you something. You know what I mean? That's going to bring something to the table. And I think if you do that, you're in again, and you can disagree with me all you want. I honestly, I do not care. But if you bring in a Clowney, or you bring in one of these remaining guys on top of DJ Wanham here, your upgrade in the edge room, it's an upgrade, because you're essentially what you're trying to do from last year to this year. You are trying to upgrade AQM and Marcus Davenport. Those are your upgrades. And Marcus Davenport didn't play barely any. So DJ Wanham's going to, he played 16 games last year. And if you get a Clowney or a Bosa or a Jordan, those guys are going to play as well for you. That's an upgrade.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, Davenport didn't even play.
Exactly. Who else was that edge for you there? You didn't even have Josh Pascal. You didn't have Levi O. Now this year, you at least get a Levi O back as well on top of that. So, like, I think there's – hey, and I know that, I could tell that you might have had a little grin coming there.
For what?
Levi O. I said Levi O.
I mean, they had Aleem playing on the edge, like Ryan said.
I mean, we went over those stats a couple days ago. Like, the amount of snaps that Aleem McNeil was coming off the edge was, like, unbearable. To like, read that, to bring that chart up and actually see his snap numbers off the edge in 2025.
It's absurd. I mean, it's absolutely absurd.
And I honestly, I see that, and I genuinely, and you know me, Jeff, I don't really feel bad that much when it comes to things. I genuinely there's a side of me that felt bad that I've gone at Aleem the last year, because it's like, it's not this guy's fault that they're throwing him out of position. He can't play his position. That's one on Brad for not having the right D line, and that's two Shep on the, on the scheme that they're throwing out there. Yeah. So it's like there's a side of me that actually felt a little bad about that.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing I guess you could say about the Clowney point is, like, he's played for 6 different teams since 2019. So he hasn't really found a home consistently, but he's been productive everywhere he's been for the most part. I mean, the last 3 years he's had 8.5 sacks in 13 games with the Cowboys, 14 games with the Panthers, 5.5 sacks. Baltimore, he had 9.5 sacks. I mean, this would be, to me, like, we talk a lot about, Brad at the end of the season, kind of talking about how his approach will be a little different. And when it comes to some things, Clowney, for example, like, Clowney's been a free agent for the last couple of years, and they have not brought him in.
Yeah.
So this would kind of fall under that umbrella of, like, Brad doing something different. It would be because he has not brought him in. I don't know why. I don't know why. I don't know if he doesn't have anything, at least to my knowledge, like, off the field that's super concerning. Maybe the chat can enlighten me if that's the case. I've never heard teammates say that the guy sucks, as a human being. He's been productive. He's a vet. You get an adult in the room. Like, I would like it. And maybe Cam Jordan's that option, but I think Brad's still in a good spot as of right now, where, yeah, you missed out on some bigger free agents are probably not going to pay for, but there's still some guys that you can pay probably around that $10 million mark, lower or a little higher, that are, not bad options. Not bad options.
And by the way,
no, go on.
I was just going to pull up another DJ Wanham stat. Another thing with him back in, so obviously he had the injury before last year. So what was it? 2023 he had the injury? or 2024. I apologize.
2023 going to that's like it kind of was like it affected into the 2024 season, I think.
So in 2023, he played 15 games, started 14. So that was like the other year, outside of 2024, that was the other year that he played a lot of the snaps. Just looking at even like his PFF grade back in 2023, when he had 8 sacks. I mean, his run defense was 35th out of all edges in the NFL at 68.6. And he played 300 run snaps, and he was top 35 in run defense among edges back in 2023. So it's like he stops run at a high level, or he can, at his best. And that's what was one of the issues last year that this Lions defense had that we complained about a lot. Outside of obviously,
nobody that can set an edge. I mean, they just
and that run. Remember the run game when Shep always was like mocking the media, being like, "Oh, we didn't get gashed," and they were giving up like 400 rushing yards. Obviously, an exaggeration, but like 400 rushing yards to the Steelers in a run defense because you probably have 8 QM, or you have in your run defense, instead of having a Aleem in the middle, you have him on the outside, or whatever schemes they are running. They probably are looking at this. Dan did say this offseason he was looking a lot into the defense more than he ever has, and maybe one of the things he noticed was, hey, we need some guys who could stop the run, is even on the edge.
They need to get back to their identity. They didn't have an identity last year, which is the problem.
Nothing.
It's the problem. If you're going to be a good defense, you need to have an identity. Like you could say all you want about Aaron Glenn and co-ed Aaron Glenn, fine. At least they had an identity. Their identity was, we're going to stop the run and we're going to get a bunch of turnovers. Now, they gave up a lot of passing yards. That stuff never really got fixed. Like, I get you want to criticize Aaron Glenn. I'm not saying the guy was some elite. I'm not saying all that. What I'm saying is, though, they had an identity on defense. They did. With Kelvin, the identity was like, the Legion of Whom, and then they had a great game, and then it was like AQM went off that year, which was awesome in some games, and then Jack Campbell was good. There was no, like, you look at this Lions defense last year through the whole 17 games, you're like, what are they good at? I mean, what are they actually good at?
Yeah.
They let teams convert third downs. They can't stop the run. They can't stop the pass. They don't get turnovers. They're not good in the red zone. I mean, what do they do? I mean, what are they actually good at? Sacks, I guess, but then your time to pressure was really bad. So it's like I don't know. It just didn't make any sense. So hopefully with this offseason, reconstructing this defense, there is an identity to some extent. You need to have a defensive identity if you're going to be good. We know what their offensive identity is. You can tell me the Lions' offensive identity. And the year they weren't what their identity was, they cleared house. Like, they couldn't run the ball like they used to, fired everybody, or at least fired the offensive coordinator. Changed up everything, improved the O-line. They fixed everything quickly when they didn't have an identity. But on defense, it's like, well, we'll give the staff another year, which we're going to see if it works out or not. But, yeah, they need to have a freaking identity, man. I don't know. I would love to ask Calvin Shepard, like, I know his response would probably be, we want to be a week-to-week, like, different team. Like, we want to be able to adapt and stuff like that. But, like, they didn't really do that last year at all either. So it's like they just kept getting torched, man. They just kept getting torched. So I did want to bring up this. You actually put this in prep. This is a really good conversation that I think people right now probably this is another like more positive discussion. And it's the tweet. We actually met Steve Palazzolo. Is that how you say his last name? Steve Palazzolo?
Did we meet him?
I think we saw him. I don't know if we met him, but he was at the hotel we were at, I think. He's the big dude, right? I think I think he is. But anyway.
Wait,
are they not the same guy?
Wait, the big dude. Are you talking about during our combine trip in the hotel lobby, last
he's
day?
6'5" or something like that?
You're talking about the dude that looked like an offensive lineman. What do we call him? We had a nickname for him?
No,
or his friends had a nickname. His friends kept calling him it. What was his friend? What was his? Chief. I think he might have been one of the greatest offensive tackles of all time. We just didn't know who he was. Yeah. He was like the biggest, and all of his friends were just calling him Chief.
Yeah. If your name
he looked like Chief, he was like a 7-time Super Bowl winner at offensive tackle.
Well, this man, not Chief, who we met at the hotel, who was a massive human being we ran into. One of the
Shout out
biggest
Chief, man.
I've ever met. I don't even know who he is. I don't know who he is, but
I'm
this
convinced he's a Hall of Fame left tackle.
yeah, he might be. But this tweet reads: the based on production value added, best drafting team since 2021, non-quarterbacks only. Number 1, the Rams. Number 2, the Lions. Number 3, the Eagles. Number 4, the Chiefs. Number 5, the Bucks. How do you feel when you see this?
I put a tweet out about this on my personal account today. I quote tweeted this and just said, listen, the only thing this tells me is, oh my Lord, Brad Holmes from 2021 to 2022 and 2023 had some of the greatest drafts of all time in that 3-year span. Because in 2024, 2025, he was not even close to a top 5 in the NFL. So those first 3 years, man, Brad Holmes was one of the greatest drafters that ever touched this planet in those first 3, especially in 2023. So I think there's context to it. I think it's like a years. I bet if you looked back in 2023 and 2024 alone, or I'm sorry, 24 and 25 alone, most production value added in a draft class since 2017, 2021 Detroit Lions. And I would argue that the 23 class, if they weren't injured recently, that they would be number 1 on this list with Brian Branch and Jameer and Jack and Sam Laporta. So I would make that argument. So you could argue 2 of them.
Yeah, and it's interesting because this list, which I'm just bringing this up just to get a feel of the room. Okay, when I look at this list, you know what stands. Let me just double check this actually, so I know. So I'm not saying this without. Okay. You know what I see when I saw this list? You know what I was looking at? I was like, wow, like this actually, it's good it's good because you have a GM that's capable of drafting. But then I go, wait, all these teams since 2021, what have they done?
They've won a Super Bowl and the Lions have not. Yeah,
That's
that was the one thing that popped up. Everyone was tweeting that out, being like, the only difference is the Lions are the only team that has not won a Super Bowl in this span.
That's what I popped. And now the Bucks had Tom Brady, so we can.
Bro, 40-year-old, 50-year-old Tom Brady.
Fair, but it's fine. I think Todd Bowles is holding them back, but I digress. The other 3 though, they have Super Bowls, so I think that's probably more of it's not even a thing to bring up to poo-poo on Brad. It's more of to bring up to be like, why is that? Why is that? Like, what are these teams doing? And I know it's like, well, for whatever reason, some things don't fall our way.
Yeah.
I wonder what that reason is. Is it maybe the Rams, Eagles, Chiefs? I know the Chiefs, we always say with the Chiefs, it's hard because they have freaking Mahomes and Andy Reid. So it's hard to compare. But with at least Eagles, Rams, it's like, are these teams being more aggressive? Maybe that's a good way we can bring up? Definitely can mention that. What's the specific reason these teams have been able to accomplish what you can't, or what you haven't even been to one, let alone win one, but you haven't been to one. I don't know.
You came close. I mean, you did one year come close in 2023.
You were close, very close.
Yeah, you were right there. I don't know. Like, I think the thing with this is, like, I think Brad, and I saw someone in the chat put it, and Jeff, I mean, when did we start doing this show together? What is it, 2023? When it was a week, the week of, we started doing it the week of the NFC Championship game was when we officially started. I think we can hand up, and I don't know if you feel this or fans feel this at all. After the NFC Championship game, there was a sense of one of those things where I was sitting there going, hey, I actually don't mind if Brad starts developing guys and looking like further ahead. And I think as a fan base, I think a lot of people stopped thinking like, let's get win now guys, because everyone was like, this roster feels essentially built out. And then all of a sudden, now we're 2 years later or 3 years later, and we're all sitting here going, oh, yeah, that was a pretty bad idea from Brad. Like, Brad actually, we all loved that idea at first, and now all of a sudden we're like, yeah, that sucked from him. Like, trying to get all these developmental guys, your guy, Giovanni Manu, Colby Sorsdale, like, I don't know. You could keep going with some of these guys where he was like, all right, we built the roster. Now it's time to just start getting some developmental guys. And that's not looking back now. It's like, hey, that was bad. And that's why I think like the last 2 years, I think it's really flipped on him.
You know what I think is a big the free agency thing stands out to me because, and I'm talking early. I'm not talking now that they're cap strapped, but I looked up every free agency class, significant signings from each class, each year-to-year class.
Yeah.
So you have 2022, which I guess we'll go 2022 into 2023 because that's where they made they started having some success, I guess. But 2022, these are the key additions in the offseason, okay? Because this graphic says since 2021. DJ Chark, Deshaun Elliott, they re-signed Josh Reynolds, they re-signed Anzalone, and they signed John Kaminsky. So those are like the key additions that year. All right. And then in 2023, when they went and pushed into an NFC championship game, this is the offseason they had. David Montgomery, Cam Sutton, Emmanuel Mosley, CJ Gardner-Johnson, and Isaiah Buggs. Okay, so you got David Montgomery that year. CJ, who didn't play. Remember, he was doing the ski mask thing, which was dumb. But they didn't, Emmanuel Mosley didn't really play. Cam Sutton got in trouble, whatever. Like David Montgomery, we can say is probably the big one of those two after you started having success. Okay, fine. This is where it got really tough because they actually had a good free agency class in 2024. They got Kevin Zeitler, DJ Reader, Carlton Davis, and Marcus Davenport, who, isn't good. But those three were actually good acquisitions, okay? The problem is everyone died on the field. Like, that's where it sucks. Like that 1 year, they actually had a good free agency class. Everybody died. I'm being exaggerated, but you get what I'm thinking. So it's like, that's the unfortunate part is with the year they actually coming off an NFC championship game, he spent more, he went out and got some players, filled some holes. Everybody got hurt, and, it is what it is. That's what happened. It was last year with Ben and Aaron Glenn. So
yep.
You look at those prior free agency classes, they were just not, you know what I mean? It was just, it wasn't that impressive until the year that everyone got hurt. So it's just unfortunate. So what could have been if they just stayed healthy that year? You had Kevin Zeitler, Carlton Davis was here for a year.
I think too, there really hasn't been since then. Maybe I don't know. Like last year, did last year's free agency class really blow you away at all?
No, it was DJ Reed. They signed him, but
yeah, it didn't really blow you away. I think this year, honestly, I think this year's free agency. Am I wrong, Jeff? But this is an outlier of a free agent year for Brad because he's typically just keeps his guys and he'll maybe add a piece here and there, like you just mentioned some of them. This year, he's let, 7 guys go that play snaps for you? 6 or 7 guys go that play actual, at least the last year or two have been a piece of your team. And he's just let them walk, and he's just bringing new guys in now. And I don't think you've seen that since years 1 or 2 with them, except the difference is years 1 and 2, you didn't really have a core built up yet to where now you're in year 6, you have a core built up and you have your foundational pieces. Now it's like, hey, these role players that we had, obviously they might not have worked out or they're not working out any longer because we're not winning with them. And he's like, all right, let's get some new ones. That's how I look at it this offseason. It's like the same. That's where it's like for me with the DJ Wanham thing. It's new role player. Like, all right, we experimented with the Marcus Davenport thing the last 2 years. That's obviously not working. We need to get someone else. All right, we've done our due diligence with AQM. We got what we got out of him. Let's get someone else.
I have hope that Brad's it's clicking for him. I think he's starting to understand that these guys, we're not going to win with these guys. Like some of the guys they have, they're getting older. We're not going to be able to win. The issue is based on everything I brought up with the draft class, or not the draft classes, excuse me, the free agency classes was. And you mentioned the Davenport thing, like kicking the Davenport can down the road. You were just you were trying to be conservative in free agency, and then until it was too late, it was just like there was a prime time to do that, and you just waited, and you probably thought, and at the time, I'm sure he thought we're just going to develop our own players and and be more conservative. But then they overachieved, and he was like, "Whoa, we're in an NFC Championship game. We did not expect this." And now it's like, well, what are you going to do now? And they just got too conservative. And now they're in a point where they have to pay everybody, and it just gets a little more difficult. So I think Brad's understanding the concept now. It's like, hey, man, we got to bring in new faces. No more Davenport experiment. No more Josh Pascal experiment. Like, I like that they're not relying on Ennis Rakestraw. He's kind of a whatever at this point. Like, they're like, we're going to bring in Roger McCreary, Christian Isian, all these guys that can play different positions. Like, we're not going to rely on Ennis Rakestraw. We're going to re-sign Rocky Sin, who could play that same position, basically. So I think he's getting it. It's just unfortunate that it's the timing of which he got it. But yeah, it's, it is what it is. You have to, now at this point, you got to draft and replace. You got to get cheaper. And I think now Brad has to get back to what he was doing early when he was here, which is like,
yeah,
we talked about.
The issue, like you just said, dude, is that they did put it off. Like, Brad didn't realize it, and he put it off for so long with some of these guys, where it was just like, you probably were never, like, the fact that even last year, you look at it, you had Graham Glasgow as your starting center. Like, dude, you waited way too long. And you know what? Thank God that he realized it this offseason, and it was like, all right, yeah, we just can't move on with Graham. Like, he's just not good enough. And it took for them to really see on the field, like, yeah, this is a really bad offensive line to change it. But they finally realized it. You know what I mean? And, like, thank God they did. And also thank God that they went out and got a Cade Mays, and instead of sitting back and be like, well, we'll just move Tate. We'll do this. We'll take the easy way out. We'll do what we did last year. We'll fill the holes in, and we'll develop. Like, thank God that he ended up actually going out and getting a real center that's had snaps the last couple of years at that position and is getting better and better. And it's the same thing at other positions too. It's like the edge room. Like, thank God he realized Marcus Davenport was no longer going to ever help your football team.
Yep.
And thank God that he got, just cut ties with Josh Pascal as much as a good person he is. Like, all right, thank you. And it's the same thing like with AQM. They didn't even offer it. Again, I'll say it a million times. They never even offered AQM. So the people who are like, well, he had 11.5 sacks. The guy got $6 million coming off an 11.5 sack season.
That's
why did he only? And it was up to $6 million. Why? Any other player in the NFL that gets a 11.5 sack season is going to get 10 to 12 million the next year. He got up to $6 million, most likely with incentives. So it shows like, hey, he probably was never going to be coming back anyways, and they didn't offer him. And and again, I think part of that, it's the snap thing that I sat out there for you, Jeff. AQM, 88 or run stop snaps, 88 snaps against the run, 88. That's it, all season long. DJ Wanham, almost 300. It's like it's written on the paper for you, man. It's clear as day. They want a legit edge rusher that can set the edge, that can get to the quarterback, that can do everything. And like you said, just a versatile edge rusher. But like it's nice that Brad Holmes. It's like, oh man, hey, this is what we've been seeing the last 2 years, Brad. Like, welcome to our world all of a sudden.
I mean,
like, we've been
joke,
seeing this.
We can joke about the bargain bin stuff. I actually don't mind bargain binning when they're not relied on. I think the problem with Brad is he was bargain binning for starters. Like Davenport, AQM, these guys were starting. You know what I'm saying? And maybe not AQM, but Davenport was a bargain bin who he was relied on. That's the problem. It's not like you have, we already have a DN2, but we're going to bring in this guy as a 1-year bargain option who could be good, but we're not going to rely on him or anything. He's bringing in these guys for dirt cheap that they rely on, which is
and you know what? Just a cherry on top of that, he also gives them like a 200-foot leash as well. Hey man, you got like 3 years to figure this out. You're good to go. Instead of being like, hey, figure it out like now, or we're moving on with someone else. Like it's like having a girlfriend that cheats on you constantly, and you're like, just figure it out in the next 2 years, please. Like, just stop. And it's like, in 2 years when she cheats on you again, you're like, oh, what happened? Oh, I don't know, Brad. Maybe she's cheated on you. She's a serial cheater. It's like Davenport. Oh, how's he hurt again? He's a serial guy that gets injured. Like, what? He's injured again?
You want to believe it's true. It's like, you see the good in people. He sees Marcus Davenport with New Orleans. He sees it from a long time ago when he was getting 8-9 sacks. And that was like 6 years ago. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that guy, or actually it was like 5, so whatever it was. That's what Brad sees. I love it. Everyone needs a friend like Brad Holmes. He really does. He sees the good in people. But sometimes you can't, as a general manager, you can't just look at that. You got to look at all the information. You got to be like, hey, man, maybe this idea that we want a pocket crushing guy on the other side of Hutch, like maybe we should sign a good player. You know what I'm saying? Maybe we should just maybe stop getting out of these types.
Hey,
like
how about this
Davenport's
too?
type we really want.
How about someone who plays and gets production?
Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Healthy production. Hey, DJ Wanham, guess what? I just went and looked. His first 4 years in the NFL, missed 5 total games for his first 4 years.
And produced.
He's played 6 seasons, missed 5 games in his first four seasons, and then he had the 1 year in 2023 where he had the whole issue with the blood clot and all of that. Missed half of the year, and then the next year comes back, plays a full season. So if you take, he's played 6 seasons, essentially in 5 of the 6 seasons, he's played 85% of the games.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like the opposite for Marcus Davenport. Take his last 6 seasons, he's played in 15% of the games.
He spends more time watching the games than he does playing in them. That's what it feels. And I'm sorry, I keep taking shots at Davenport. It's not even his fault.
I think it's fair because it's not his fault, but it's fair because Brad. We could probably Brad. If I'm Marcus Davenport, I would call Brad and be like, "This is all your fault because you keep resigning me."
If I'm Marcus Davenport and I'm like, "Man, I didn't play really at all that season," and Brad calls, he's like, "I'll offer you $6 million," or I'm taking the money. Yeah,
I'm in. Free money.
Not his fault for getting the contract. You know what I'm saying? He's going to keep playing. By the way, Tia Martinez, appreciate the crunch.
There we go.
Appreciate it. All right, let's bring on our good friend here, Flannel Sam. We'll talk about free agency. Give his opinion on some of the free agents. Flannel, how are we doing?
You know, I have a little bit of a bone to pick with you guys.
Flannel, I mean, I could. It was minus 5,000 for you. I hate the DJ Wanham signing.
No. It's not that you don't know how I feel about it yet.
Well, that when you say you got a bone to pick, all we've talked about the first hour is just how we like DJ Wanham.
What's your bone, Flannel?
The way that you guys are talking about it, the way that you guys are talking about the people who have some questions about it, you guys sound exactly like the slappies that you guys rail against. You should be grateful that Brad did something and got a body in. You can't demand anymore. They have no money.
We can't like
the first hour. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I almost wanted to roll out of my bed and just fall and
hey,
I've done it before. I'll do it again.
Hey, I want to say this, Jeff, this is towards you. You know what's crazy, Jeff? You know how many we talk about? There's like, we feel like we're in the middle of the Lions. We're not a slappy. We're not like the haters. Flannel is completely on the hater side because anytime someone like us, where we hold Brad Holmes accountable, we hold him accountable when it needs to be held accountable, but we'll say, hey, we'll give you credit when something is good. We just gave credit. We didn't say this was like the greatest signing since, I don't know, since the Bucs signed Tom Brady and went a Super Bowl. Like, no one said that. We said, hey, they got an edge rusher. This is a good signing. Like, we're not being slappies, being like, yes, he's gonna get 20 sacks for. No, you Flannel. I love you. You go the complete opposite. You're literally on the opposite side of the people that you hate. That you're like, I can't believe these people are saying they'd like it. This is the word. Like, come on, man.
No, it's the way
it's normal. It's a good signing. He signed someone. He's not a bad player. If he signed a terrible player like a Marcus Davenport again, and we were up here being like, this was a good signing, you could come in here and do all that. It's a good signing.
Let me hear your rebuttal, Sam, and then I'll give you why I don't hate it as much. But let me hear your thoughts on it.
I don't think it is a great signing. I think DJ Wanham at this point in his career is better as just a depth piece, not somebody that you want as the bookend.
Agreed. We agree.
He's a depth piece. He's not your bookend.
Well, here's my other issue with it is I've talked about before that as free agency goes along and as it's gone along in this cycle, a lot of the good names that we wanted, the good players that we wanted keep dropping off. However, I actually think the more I looked at it, the more I kind of analyzed it, even last week, mentioning some names and some players that I wanted, there were a lot of, I think, better edge rusher options. And some of them, I think the Lions could have gotten for about the same amount of money or even cheaper. And I've got some numbers to back that up. Last season, DJ Wanham had an 8% pressure rate. For his career, he has an 8.4% pressure rate. That's not good, by the way. And that's for his entire career over a large sample size. Cam Jordan, last season, 10.7%, career 11.3%. Jadeveon Clowney, last season, 17.6%, which is insane, career 11.6%. Dante Fowler, last season 12%, career 11.6%. Joey Bosa, last season 14%, career 14.4%. Leonard Floyd, last season 12.5%, career 10.7%. And I'm talking about pressure rates. Hassan Reddick, last season 11.4%, career 12.3%. That's my point of it all, is that some of those guys you probably could have gotten for the same amount of money as DJ Wanham. And all of those guys, both last year and through their careers, have been better at consistently getting to the quarterback than DJ Wanham. The only thing you can say about DJ Wanham that is good, I think, or maybe even favorable of those other guys, is that he played a lot of snaps. He played a lot of run snaps. But the problem is, throughout his career, and even last year, he's never really been graded that high, according to PFF, as a good run defender. He was once in 2023, which was his best season. That was cut short by that really, really bad torn quad injury. And that's the type of injury that you're never quite the same from, and he hasn't really been that great since. My point is that I think there were better players for the Lions to add, and DJ Wanham doesn't really move the needle for me. And I'm not just going to be like, oh, it was an edge rusher. I'm going to tell you that I think they could have done better. That's it. That's all.
Yeah, Flannel, I think you're like, what you're missing the point on is that I think this is something that you like. I think it's something where it's like you have to have patience in the offseason, because a lot of those guys you named are still free agents. And what's to say that Brad Holmes doesn't look at DJ Wanham as a depth piece and still goes and gets Cam Jordan? It got released today that Cam Jordan has 3 teams that offered him contracts. And how do we know the Lions aren't one of those 3 teams? And next week, the Lions signed Cam Jordan, and then they have Cam Jordan and DJ Wanham. Or they go out and sign one Joey Bosa still, or they go get someone. And like, if you listen to the first hour, I think that was something that Jeff and I put out there was, hey, if this is a depth piece for you and you're rolling with DJ Wanham and you go out there and make one more piece and go sign a Fowler, or you sign one more edge rusher and then you get someone in the draft, that's an upgrade of an edge room and from 24 to or 25 to 26. And that's like, I don't think once in the first hour any of us, and I don't think fans are looking at DJ Wanham as like that's your bookend to Aiden Hutchinson. I think people look at it's a 1 year up to $6 million deal. Like, if that's what you feel like your bookend is, then that's a failure for Brad Holmes. But the names you named there, those guys are still available. Brad can still go out there and add one of those pieces. And that's why, for me, I'm looking at this as okay, he did it for up to $6 million. He obviously does. He would, if he thought he was going to go get a bookend, he would have paid a guy $10 million, $8 million to be the bookend. I still think there's someone out there that they're waiting for. They now, with him, Flannel, they have 3 edges in this room. That's it. You need to get to 5 or 6. So they obviously still have more moves to make, whether that's the draft or free agency. So I think for you, hopefully it calms you down a little bit on it. It doesn't need to move the pendulum for you, or the needle. But I still think that there's a move that's going to be made here. And I know that's really not something that I can stand on, but it's like, hey, we just have to be patient because all those guys you named are available.
If you're right, I will change my mind and I'll apologize. I really will. And I'm dead serious. My fear, though, is that here's what I think could happen, because this just seems very Holmesian. I don't know if getting DJ Wanham necessarily means that he's changed his ways. I could see DJ Wanham and then re-signing Marcus Davenport, and I'm dead serious, and then the Lions waiting until the 4th round or later to get an edge. That's what I fear. That's where I'm like, oh, DJ Wanham, that's what you get. When there's obviously guys out there that are better, you're trying to find that diamond in the rough. You're trying to maybe parlay that diamond in the rough with finally being you'll all see about Marcus Davenport, and then doing what he's often done, and then waiting until later rounds to address the pass rush. I truly believe, and I think at this point, it's not some conspiracy theory. It's not some thoughts of dummies, that Brad Holmes doesn't think the pass rush is as important as fans do and as other GMs do. And he's going to do it his way. I'm open to being wrong, but I could see it going the way that I theorized as well. I hope you're right, Booner.
And to kind of add to that, Flannel, I understand the fear because that's what history has shown us. Like, I understand why people would fear that. I think where me and Booner were coming from today, and I think Booner said it all very well. Basically, how I would summarize the signing and how I tried to compare the signing is he is a depth piece on a defensive line that needs depth. They also need a starter. They need an actual bookend, to your point. But I think they're going to make 2 more moves. I think. Now, if they don't, Flannel, we can revisit this and we can talk about it and have a different opinion. But you still have a draft pick that, maybe to your point, could it be a 4th-round pick? It could. We would both prefer it's a much higher draft pick, obviously, more of a 2nd round. I would say 1st round should be a tackle, no question. But, whatever. First 2 rounds, maybe a 3rd round if they get another pick. At that point, your defensive line room would be Aiden, DJ Wanham, maybe a Cam Jordan, Clowney, Bosa, and then Ahmed Hassanin, and then you have a draft pick in there somewhere, whatever it is. I think that's you feel a little bit better about that. They're not going to go get, obviously, at this point, a Max Crosby. But how I looked at DJ Wanham is I look at it as someone who has the upside, which I know you brought up his pressure rate and stuff, but this is also someone, and this is in 2024. This was before this past season. So 2025 you can bring up, which I know you brought up last year. He didn't play well. But 2024, he had a pass rush win rate of 10.7%, a pressure rate of 12.1%, which were not bad numbers. And then in 2021 to 2023, he had 40 quarterback hits, which is tied for 58th during that stretch, 1 fewer than, and I know you're going to freak out about this, but I'm not saying he's these players, but 1 fewer than Khalil Mack and Cam Jordan. I'm not saying he's those players. But what I'm saying is I understand a 1-year deal on a flyer on a guy who, to be fair, Flannel, has a better resume than AQM had before he got here. Like AQM, I think, had 15 sacks before he got to Detroit in like 7 seasons. This guy has 30 in like 6. So at least there's a higher upside. He can do a little more. So I'm with you. I don't think they're done. If they're done, I'll be pissed. But as like a depth piece, as like someone that, on sundowns can come in and add some versatility, it's like, I'm cool with it. You know what I mean? I talked to Booner. I want to actually get your opinion on just the edge position in free agency because I'm a big Clowney guy. I think Clowney makes a lot of sense for the Lions. I don't think he'll cost a lot, and his production's been pretty good the last couple of years. Booner's talked a lot about Joey Bosa. We're both on the same page about Cam Jordan. I'm curious to see if he is, maybe the Lions are one of the teams that offered him. But I want to know what direction they go because Clowney, to go against my point, has been a free agent the last couple of years, Flannel. Yeah. And they have not brought him in. So if Brad wants to prove to the people he's different or he's changed, this would be the year to sign one of these guys. Because in my opinion, signing a Cam Jordan, like a bigger name like that, even though he's older, but a big personality, big name, is kind of outside of what the Lions like to do. Same with like a Bosa or like a Clowney. Based on what you're telling us right now, Flannel, you don't seem very used. What's your confidence level that one of those things still happen, getting one of those guys?
Well, my confidence level isn't high, but I can also say that if this offseason in the edge rusher room ends with, and it's a bit of adjusted expectations, as it has been with everybody, if it ends with DJ Wanham and Jadeveon Clowney in a bit of a rotation, plus they use premium draft capital to get an edge,
you feel a little better. You feel a little better.
I will feel a little bit better because Jadeveon Clowney, say what you want about him, the fact that he seems to get, ever since he's been on the Texans, really like a series of 1-year deals and not anything long-term. You can say that as a number 1 overall pick, he didn't live up, but he's had more good seasons than bad. And last year on somewhat limited snaps, I thought he was, I don't think it's an exaggeration to say that, like I said, on a smaller sample size,
he played really well.
He was a game wrecker.
Yeah.
Like he was the type of kind of aging edge rusher who's giving what he has to the game and playing really, really well.
And by the way, Flannel, with no one on the other side of him, Cowboys didn't have nobody but Clowney and freaking a bunch of random dudes. They let go of Micah Parsons.
James Houston.
Yeah. No, so I guess long story short, if it's Clowney and Wanham or Fowler and Wanham or Cam Jordan and Wanham, I'm feeling a lot better. But you also can't fault me for having a little bit of pessimism when it
I can't believe you still have faith. I would be shocked if Davenport gets brought back. I would be I think Brad knows that would be people would be down in Allen Park protesting. I mean, like,
I don't think that's going to happen. I see
people
where
in the
I see
chat were saying
the
that too. There's no way.
yeah, I see the hatred of people thinking that that's Brad's thing, but there's no way a third year after what's happened. He's given him 2 chances and it hasn't worked out. I do think like when it comes to the price and like I think they just looked at this and Jeff looked at this as more as like an AQM guy. But I look at it as more of like this is Marcus Davenport's goodbye, them bringing in DJ. They're like, we're gonna go with DJ instead of Marcus Davenport. And then I still think that they're gonna look to replace the AQM. That's kind of how I look at it. So I understand your frustration if this was like your bookend to Hutch, but it's like look at the edge room. It's like only half full right now. They have no choice but to fill it out more. So they have to make a move. It was just like before they signed DJ Wanham. It's like they're going to make a move no matter what at edge and free agency. That's why when people are freaking out like we don't have edges, it's like relax. Like they have to do it. So I do think Flannel, like they have to bring in someone else besides DJ Wanham.
Yep. And if you're saying that DJ Wanham is the Davenport replacement or the more ideal depth piece, I'm cool with it. We broke a little bit of bread. It's great when we have these conversations and kind of maybe I was being a little bit exaggeratory. Maybe I was attributing bad intentions to you guys, but once we all get together, it's great.
The one thing I've been saying since free agency Flannel is that I keep running into the one thing I like a lot of people do is when there are signings, every signing, even if it's a depth piece, people look at it as, oh, can this guy start? And if he can't, people get mad. And I think like a lot of people did it. And I'll ask you now, because we'll just stick with free agency, but like with the 2 DBs that they got with Izium and then our guy,
Roger McCurry.
Roger. I just keep thinking Roger because I saw there was a Roger sign that someone put out in an edit of his. It was funny. But Roger as well. A lot of people were like, oh, this is going to be your start. Like, why'd you guys get these guys? In my opinion, like you have to, it's a 53-man roster. You have to have depth guys. And I looked at these guys as good depth pieces that when Brian Branch or these guys are out, they're going to be able to fill in. They've started in their career. They're not your starters because when you do get healthy, they're going to be coming off the bench. What did you think about those signings?
Well, the Roger McCurry one, I don't think he is a depth piece. I think he's going to be the starting slot/nickel corner. And I think it's a necessary move because Amik is gone. Even though he didn't play well last year, he's still gone. Brian Branch, who can obviously play the slot really well, is not going to be healthy to start the season. And on top of that, I don't believe the Lions have re-signed Avonte Maddox, or if they will, unless I've missed something while I've been on the show. So they haven't re-signed Avonte Maddox. So there's a need for that nickel corner with Roger McCreary. And with him, I think it's interesting because I've seen him play. You guys have posted the highlights there. He's got the talent. There's things that he's done that's very impressive. There's also some question marks, like his career passer rating allowed when targeted isn't that great. It's 102. Last season, he got hurt and he didn't really play very well. His rookie season, which is kind of irrelevant now, was pretty bad when it comes to coverage. I think he let up 7 touchdowns and 1 pick or something like that. But if Roger McCreary can channel 2024 McCreary or 2023 McCreary, then you're talking about somebody who could maybe even be an upgrade over Amik when it comes to the nickel and slot corners, because Roger McCreary was one of the few out there that just a pure slot corner. He doesn't play much outside. He hasn't played much outside during his career. And in 2024, I mean, his passer rating allowed when targeted was a little higher than you'd like, but he allowed 51 catches for 367 yards, which isn't bad. And it's pretty good, especially as a slot corner. That's kind of what you would hope for. But in 2023, he didn't allow a single touchdown all season, and he also had a pick. So Roger McCreary, I think the best of him is a really impactful signing that you're really happy about. The worst of him, I don't think you're going to get the worst of him. I think Roger McCreary is primed to have a good season. And as far as Christian Izian goes, I would have rather the Lions just re-signed Avonte Maddox and Christian Izian could keep on going. I'm not saying that he's a bad player, but he kind of peaked as a rookie, hasn't been on the field much lately, didn't really play well last year. I would like Avonte because kind of like one of the reasons Christian Izien is appealing to some is he can play safety and he can play slot corner. Avonte Maddox, I think, did both fairly well last season. So, the Roger McCreary one, I'm cool with. The Christian Izien one, I would just rather they have re-signed Avonte Maddox. That's kind of my feeling about the recent DB signings.
Now, what do you think about Tyler Conklin? Friend of the show, local, Lance Cruz North, Central Michigan, played in the division already with the Vikings, been pretty productive. At least his time with the end of the Vikings, his time there, and then when he was with the Jets with no quarterback, basically, he was still pretty productive, which, he didn't really get. It was a weird year with the Chargers, but he comes back home, and he seems to be another guy that, as a receiving threat, Flannel, last year when Laporta went down, they had nobody that can get open. Okay, nobody that can get open at tight end. Brock Wright just isn't that guy. And they had Shane Zylstra playing, and they seem to be upgraded. They seem to have upgraded with Tyler Conklin. But what do you think of the signing there?
Let me just pat myself on the back for a second. And it has nothing to do with a Tyler Conklin, although I do like signing. At, a good our old network, WSN, I remember when Brock Wright was a restricted free agent. I remember when the 49ers gave him 3 years at $12 million. I remember when the Lions matched that and people were just like, oh yes, Brock Wright. Oh, what a great Brad Holmes absolutely had to do that. He's such a great tight end too. Our sweet, sweet Brocky is home. Isn't his girlfriend in Detroit too, or whatever that news reporter? Oh, it's such a great story. And I was one of the few people that was like, what's the big deal? It's Brock Wright. He's a small cog in a machine. He's a replacement level tight end too. And what Brock Wright has done since then in the last 2 seasons is have a grand total of 27 receptions for 208 yards, 4 touchdowns, a neck injury, which I hope he comes back from, by the way. I wasn't rooting for that. And his blocking grades on PFF have been poor. And now you're looking at, if you don't cut Brock Wright, a tight end 3 for this season that's a cap hit of $4.7 million. Now that I've got that out of the way, I love the Tyler Conklin signing. I love that I think this is bargain bin on steroids in the best way in terms of the type of contract that the Lions could get insane value from. And the only reason they're able to get that value is because Tyler Conklin, as you said, he had a tough season last year in terms of his personal numbers, because I think going to Los Angeles to play on the Chargers, he was expecting to start and have a bigger role. But unfortunately, the Chargers really got a diamond in the rough and a Runde Gadsden, and Tyler Conklin's just numbers fell off a cliff. He didn't really do anything number-wise last year. I think 7 catches for 101 yards, like nothing. But I also think Tyler Conklin, in this Drew Petzing offense that utilizes tight ends, I think Drew Petzing is now looking at it as, I can do this now. Because Tyler Conklin in the previous 4 seasons was a pretty consistently productive tight end, not great or anything, but just a middle of the road, consistently productive starting tight end. And as a tight end 2 next season, motivated, back home, ready to really show the world what he has after such a disappointing season last year, I think as a tight end 2, Tyler Conklin could be efficient and productive, even if the role isn't what it was in the Jets and late in his career with the Vikings. But I also think, just in case there's any setbacks with Sam Laporta's recovery or he goes through any more injuries, having Tyler Conklin start a game or 2 in this offense, I think he'd be pretty good. Not saying he'd be Sam Laporta or a star or anything, but I think Tyler Conklin, no matter what role he's in, will 100,000% outplay that contract and be a very valuable contributor on this team. And he's a friend of the network.
He is, yeah. Shout out Conklin, man. Flannel, was there any other free agents that, obviously we talked about edge rusher, the tight end, secondary. Do you think there's any other spots that they add in free agency as you look? The edge thing, hopefully another edge, but is there a different position or even specific player that you've seen and you're like, I want him in Detroit to help this team?
I'm curious to see what Brad Holmes thinks about the linebacker position, whether Kelvin Shepard's going to change the scheme or not, whether they've talked about it, because the linebacker room, losing Alex Anzalone hurts. Like I said, wasn't a big fan of how he was on social media at the end, wasn't really wanting to pay him as much as he got, but it still is a loss. And now you're looking at Jack Campbell. They re-signed Rodrigo, but that's far from a sure thing. And Derek Barnes is just okay. So if I'm looking at a bargain bin linebacker, which is where Brad Holmes has been shopping, and that's not even disrespectful because I just gave him credit for the Tyler Conklin bargain bin, I would say somebody like Shaq Thompson, formerly of the Carolina Panthers. I believe he played on the Bills last season after his last 2 years in Carolina were riddled with injuries. He played pretty well, and honestly, his best attribute, at least last season, was coverage, and that's something that you're going to miss with Alex Anzalone leaving. So if Brad Holmes and Kelvin Shepherd are looking to play 4-3 sets, or if Kelvin Shepherd's looking to play 4-3 sets and is communicating to Brad Holmes that linebacker is a need, then Shaq Thompson is somebody that I wouldn't mind the Lions signing, and they could get him for cheap. But at this point, outside of the edge rusher room, which there's still a lot of guys, which I mentioned earlier, there's not a ton of people that really excite me, or I think would excite any of you guys that much, quite frankly.
No, I think, when it comes to just the NFL in general, I know Klotz came out with his we're posting it tomorrow, so people can check that out, his reel of him talking about the Vikings, which I did want to ask you, just when you look at the NFL landscape, I guess we'll start with your Lions. We told you to bring a take today for Lions and NFL. Let's hear it, Flannel. Your one bold take for the Detroit Lions this year. And then you can go into your NFL take. But what's one bold take? We need a Flannel take on a Tuesday night. What do you have for us?
Well, it's funny because the DJ Wanham thing really, it was advantageous and it was not advantageous at the same time. Because my prediction is that next season, Aiden Hutchinson will have 15 plus sacks, his career high, but no other Lion will have even 5 or more. The leader on the team will have 4 or 4.5. Because
my gosh,
it was kind of my mindset is Brad Holmes. I originally said he would get a camp cut, which DJ Wanham, that's basically what he is, with all due respect. I don't have that much respect for him or what he can do as anything other than a depth piece. That it would be a camp cut, Marcus Davenport, and 4th round or later in the draft. And that once again, we'll be looking at the Lions pass rush as, man, there's some games where it just seems like Jordan Love has all day to throw, or, it just seems like there's Caleb Williams or Kyler Murray or Josh Allen or Drake May. I think the Lions play both of those teams, have all day to throw, and they're just picking us apart. And I'm not saying that it's going to cost the Lions the playoffs, but I think it's going to be another season where Brad Holmes, even though we broke bread a little bit earlier, I still ultimately believe that it's going to be another season where the edge rusher room and the pass rush isn't quite where it needs to be or even close where it needs to be. And that ultimately Brad Holmes didn't learn all of his lessons. I think it's going to be another disappointing season when it comes to the pass rush. So in some ways it's not a bold prediction, but the reason it's a bold prediction is because I would hope that missing the playoffs would give Brad Holmes more motivation. Of course, I hope that I'm wrong, but you guys talked me off the ledge a little bit, not all the way though.
Yeah, I think I'm like mixed because they had 2 guys get double-digit sacks. They were only one of like 5 teams to do that, and they didn't. I'm like in this blender of what I want, really. I think because it's like you want 2 guys that can get double-digit sacks, but then they get AQM and they're last in time to pressure. So it's like,
yeah, are sacks everything at the end of the day, or is it like putting pressure, not pressure, but like a strain on a quarterback? Because like, dude, I see it all off season in Flannel. You talk about like some of the slappies on Twitter, like we all know who some of these people are, but like when you start talking about how Lions need to fix the edge room, they need to do this, they need to do this, then you get responses from those people being like, well, they were top 5 in pressure and top 5 in sacks and top 5 in this, and it's like, okay, well, really, do any of these stats really matter at the end of the day when, they're letting a quarterback sit back there for the second most time in the entire NFL? So, like, does that matter to me? Probably not, to be honest, because That's how I look at it a little bit. So I see what Jeff's saying.
Oh,
to
and
that
that's
point.
and that's why I said a couple of times last year, Jordan Love, both games, all day to throw. Aaron Rodgers, all day to throw. Matthew Stafford, all day to throw. Jameis Winston, all day to throw, even though the Lions were fortunate enough to escape with that win. And during all of those games, the only player that was getting any production was Aiden Hutchinson. I think Roy Lopez got a sack in one of those games, but AQM didn't really do anything. And that's the point. Those are the games that swing your season from being a division winner to out of the playoffs, and just too many times. I mean, it's become a pretty bad habit, especially facing the Packers and Jordan Love. I'm tired of him picking us apart because it seems like he's been doing that a lot lately. Even when the Packers aren't all that great, and even when the Packers don't win, except for that one game at Lambeau in the rain, Jordan Love usually plays well against the Lions defense.
Well, give me your NFL bold take. What's your NFL bold take?
The Washington Commanders will finish with 12 wins this season.
I don't hate that one, to be honest. They've done a decent job.
I don't like what they've done in free agency. I love it. And you know why I love it? Because they have Jaden Daniels on a rookie contract, and they can go out and buy themselves a lot of pieces. What they're doing is they're following the Drake May and Patriots plan last year, where they just really bought themselves a defense and a couple of weapons for Drake May, and then all of a sudden they're in the Super Bowl. It wasn't quite as seamless as that, but that's really the sequence of events, how it happened. And I think the Washington Commanders, you don't have to love every move that they've made, but surrounding Jaden Daniels with more weapons and giving more talent to that defense, I think is ultimately going to make the Commanders a playoff team. I'm not going to promise they're going to win the division, because I still think the Eagles are going to be good and the Cowboys could end up, winning 10, 11 games or something. But that NFC East is going to be murderer's row. I really think it is, because when you look at what the Commanders have done, look at how many players they've added to that defense. They basically bought themselves a pass rush with Odafe Owe, Kalavion Chasen, and Charles Omenihu. And the back seven, there's Tim Settle, Leo Chanel, which was a hell of a deal, by the way, Amik Robertson, and Nick Cross. You don't have to love all the players, but I like where their mindset is. And then when you talk about more weapons that the Commanders gave to Jaden Daniels, Chig Okonkwo, Rashad White, Van Jefferson, they re-signed De'Ami Brown, and they still have one of the best backup quarterbacks in the NFL, Marcus Mariota, who's capable of winning some games if Jaden Daniels goes down. You've seen it. And on top of that, their cupboard wasn't necessarily bare. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, last season, he was one of the more unheralded, amazing rookies. He was basically the Manungai of the Commanders. They have Terry McLaurin. They've got Laramie Tunsil. They've got Sam Cosmi. They've got Daron Payne. They've got Frankie Louvu. They've got Dorrance Armstrong. I think if the Commanders do anything in this draft, hit on maybe one or two impact rookies, maybe 2 or 3 starters, if they're not completely impact players, I think the Commanders are going to be dangerous. And one of the reasons why is because despite everything that happened last season, I still think from the 2024 quarterback class, Jaden Daniels is the best. Even though he had to watch Caleb Williams, Drake May, and Bo Nix all have a big hand in leading their respective teams to the playoffs, have a lot of individual and team success. They all won playoff games with their respective franchises. But Jaden Daniels is still number one to me. He still had the greatest rookie season by a quarterback I've ever seen. And this is the year where the Commanders are like, we had a gap year. We had lots of injuries, particularly to Jaden Daniels. We're going to give him everything that he needs, or at least as much as they possibly could. And they spent big.
Yeah, at least they also have David Blau as offensive coordinator over there.
Yeah.
So don't sleep on David Blau. I think that division's so interesting because you have the Giants, who I think will be much improved too.
I do too. It's gonna be a tough division, man.
Giants are going to be a problem. They are.
Yeah, because Jackson Dart's a good quarterback, and I think they assembled a pretty good staff. And they're making some moves in free agency, man, and they still have a top pick too. They can draft like Caleb Downs or Carnell Tate, and they can add another guy. They have
Sonny Styles.
They have a top pick in every round. I mean, they're going to be able to add a bunch of dudes. So we'll see what Joe Sheen does. But I like it, Flannel. I think the Commanders are. I mean, they had that year with Jane Daniels. He walked in. They went to the NFC Championship game. So
Yeah.
I don't know. That's why I love the NFL, and I also hate it if you're a fan of a team because it changes every year, and there's so much things that can happen. Like that's why when you have years, it makes it frustrating. I hate bringing it up, but like the 2023 year to now, like Commanders are here. The Bears all of a sudden are winning games. You know, you still have the Eagles, which the Eagles they look beatable as of lately. Actually, they don't look as dominant as they've been. But the NFC is just in a weird place right now, where it's teams are rising, the Giants are getting better. The Vikings got Kyler Murray, which I have a hot take about the Vikings, a bold take, which we can get into tomorrow. Because last year I picked them to miss the playoffs, and they did miss the playoffs. But this year, I got another take for the Vikings.
So you probably we know what's happening here.
I got another take with the Vikings. It's a good one. But Flannel, we'll talk about the draft. You have some draft sleepers I want to get into. Some guys that you like in this draft class for the Lions. Who are some guys that you think the Lions should look at? Sleepers.
Well, this is more for the 4th round. I've got Bo Stevens, guard from Iowa. And I know it sounds a little bit redundant because, you've got Mahogany and Miles Frazier battling it out, Colby Sorsdahl. But I think it would make me actually feel better about the Cade Mays signing and the Lions not going into free agency and really addressing the guard position if the Lions got another young player, in this case, a rookie, in that room. Because Bo Stevens, throughout his career, it was a little bit up and down, but his last season at Iowa, he was really pretty much dominant, I would say. His last 2 seasons didn't allow a sack. He became a much improved run defender as his career went on at Iowa. He can play left guard. He played left guard last season. And I think that would help alleviate some of my fears because I didn't love a lot of what I saw from Christian Mahogany last season, the season where he missed 6 games but still gave up 6 sacks. And people forget about this. Miles Frazier played a little bit, and he looked horrendous. I know it was 46 snaps. I'm not saying that he can't get better, but we far from know that Miles Frazier is going to be good because Miles Frazier, I think, in like 29 pass blocking snaps, which is not much, gave up like a 17% pressure rate, which is as god-awful as you can get. So I'd like to have more of a rotation in the guard room, in the offensive line room to really help nail down that left guard position because I think it's a big question mark on the Lions offensive line right now.
Well, they brought in Ben Barch. You see that?
Yeah, and honestly, I don't hate that. I think if he's healthy, he's played some good football recently, but he's had a lot of injuries and he's never really been a starter. So if they bring in Ben Barch, I wouldn't be as hung up on drafting a Bo Stevens in the 4th round, but I don't know. I think Bo Stevens gives you another shot at nailing down the left guard for the future. I don't think Ben Barch does that. I think he's more of a bridge.
By the way, shout out Adam. He says Danielle Hunter to the Lions for only $6 million. Crazy
$6
news.
million.
Hey, Adam. Hey, Adam's on my wavelength. That was you guys earlier.
You would have thought they signed Danielle Hunter today. Is what he.
I think that's what he's saying. Hey, Jeff, I'll tell you why. It's anytime like we could sign the 80th guy on the roster, and we're like, oh, that's a cool guy for the 80th. Like, yeah, okay. And there's like these people like Flannel and Adam who are like, oh, you like the guy? He's not a top 10 player on your team. Why do you like him? It's like, oh, shut up. Hey, hold on. How about this? Hold on a sec. Hey, bud, come here and sit on my lap.
Whoa.
wait, turn that up.
Hey, bud, come here and sit on my lap.
That's for Adam, right there. There you go. I actually we got to see Bo down at the combine. Those Iowa offensive linemen, I don't know what they're corn fed. I don't know what's going on over there in Iowa, dude. Those guys are different.
Hey, by the way,
Jennings and Lowe, and they had Tyler Linderbaum. They got Logan
this
Jones.
Offensive line from this last year. I mean, they got like 4 dudes just coming out of the draft. That all of them are going to get drafted.
They had Tristan Wirfs come out of there at one point.
Yeah,
and they just have that's an offensive line factory. I know it's tight end it's an offensive line factory too. To be honest with you,
Yeah,
they got dudes.
And I do have one more sleeper. I'll make this one kick.
No, take your time. Who do you got?
Caleb Proctor, not Caden, Caleb Proctor.
Not to be mistaken, Caleb Proctor.
Defensive tackle from Southeast Louisiana. And this is another guy that you probably would have to get in the 4th round, which I guess it's kind of a sleeper, but a position that I don't know if we necessarily talk about enough that could use more bodies and more good players is that interior of the defensive line, because I think there's a lot of uncertainty there as well. And I'm not saying Caleb Proctor is a sure thing. I like the fact that in his last season, he had 8 sacks and a 13.7 pass rush win rate, and he defended the run pretty well as well. And the season before, he wasn't quite as good, but it's another one of those guys that as he learned to play football a little bit more, as he got some coaching and got some better techniques, he really took off and had a pretty dominant last season. And that's what I would like to see. If you're going to take, 4th and later, it's never a sure thing. So get a guy who's been proven that he can rush the passer effectively in college. Not saying he's played the best competition, but when you get to that stage of the draft, you're never going to find the perfect prospect. And I just think he'd be an interesting person to plug into that defensive line room, which I think needs another body. I just don't think they're going to address it at 17 or 50 because that's for the tackle and the edge rusher position, unless they wait to the 4th, which I fear, but
Well, that's it seems like it's in the cards. I mean, yeah, it's in the cards. No, we talked about this at the combine too, like a position that if they draft, you'd be surprised, but you wouldn't be surprised also. And you know what the position I keep coming to in the 1st round, to be honest with you, that I'm like, if they take this position and they do the BPA thing, what if they drafted a linebacker? They traded back and took a linebacker. Like an Anthony Hill out of Texas. That's the guy I brought up at the combine.
When you say trade back, what do you talk about? Like, what are you talking about?
If they trade back to like 25 and like they kind of did with didn't they do that? They traded back with Tyleek, didn't they?
I think so.
No, they stayed put. Or no, they traded. I don't think they traded back. I think
they did. They stayed put. So in a situation, let's say they trade back. Let's say some offensive linemen get taken early, and they trade back. They're not in love with the edge rushers there. Imagine they trade back and take like Anthony Hill Jr. out of Texas. I think linebacker is the position where I'm like, don't be shocked if they take a linebacker at like in the 20s. CJ Allen, I know is out there too. CJ Allen, Anthony Hill. Not saying I would love it, but I'm just saying that's like a position where it's like the Lions, you never really know what they're going to do. I think linebacker is a position where I'm like, at least I'm going to get mentally prepared for some bullshit. I think
I would hate it, of course, but 17 is a really tricky spot in this draft because you could sit there at 17 and all the linemen that you want are gone. All the edge rushers are gone. Maybe Akeem Messidor, if the Lions mess with him, is gone. And from the tackle position, you're left with Caleb Lomu, Blake Mitchell, or Caden Proctor. And from all of those, there's issues with all of them. So, God, I don't – there's a method to what you're saying. It's not completely out of reach. I don't like it, of course, but maybe Brad doesn't – it's not a crime if he looks at some of the tackles that are left and is like, ooh, I don't know about any of them, or even edge rushers. Or,
I said to Booner, imagine a scenario where Monroe Freeling, Maui Noah, who would be Spencer Fano, are all gone. So now you're looking at Blake Miller or Caleb Lomu, and you're at 17, which might be too high.
But what if you could say like, hey, we could trade back, we can add a Blake Miller, or we can add a Caleb Lomu, and then at 50 we can get an Anthony Hill.
Or what if you're in a situation, now we're being hypothetical, let me throw one at you. What if you could trade back, but let's say the only pick you can acquire to trade back is like 27 and Blake and Lomu go before 27.
But what if you trade back and Caden Proctor's there and you can go Caden Proctor?
Oh, well, I guess it could be Proctor.
And then potentially you can get Kyle Lewis as well. Or you can also, for somehow chance, maybe at 50, you could trade back, add assets, and then trade up from 50 to get a Jacob Rodriguez or an Anthony. Anthony Hill. You know what I mean? I don't know. Hey, how about that scenario? Now throw one back at me.
I agree with Flannel. I think 17 is like a weird. I mean, I'm not saying they listen. I'm glad they beat the Bears. Hoorah! They could have been picking 14. I'm just saying.
Not the Bears at all.
Could have been pick at 14. You get Monroe Freeling, Anthony Hill, anyone you wanted. 3 more picks, man. You can get the whole world in your hand with 3 picks. Jeez.
Yeah. Hey, we saw that. We've seen that the last couple of years. Couple picks make the difference, man.
Yeah, honestly, no, you're not wrong about that.
Hey, it is what it is. Flannel, we appreciate the hell of you, my friend. Yeah, keep crushing. We appreciate you. Did a good job today. You guys can follow Flannel at Flannel.
Appreciate you, Flannel.
on X. Stay opinionated and keep being yourself, Flannel.
Yeah, keep being you, Flannel. Don't ever change, man.
We'll talk to you. We'll talk to you next week.
Hey, you guys never change either. Have a great night.
There you go.
Thanks, Flannel.
Flannel Sam joining the show. What a guy. What a legend.
Best.
Giving us some of his football takes today.
Perfect timing, too, for Flannel to come in, though, and right in the middle of us signing an edge rusher. It just, I would have great timing, dude, today.
Yeah. Now, by the way, drop your mailbag questions in the chat. We'll do a mailbag, free agency mailbag. Anything you guys want to ask, we'll answer. But yeah,
Adam said, by the way, Adam, fake books. Flannel, are you still over there? Flannel, can you touch those books? Can you grab one of those books for us?
Nah, it's a backdrop, man. It's a backdrop. It's not real books. It's trying to make me look well. I mean, my wife got it for me, which is nice because the room that I record in, there's not a lot of ambiance. So this is really the best that we can do. And honestly,
look at this.
Fine. I think it looks fine.
It looks great. I mean, this guy's in Brad Holmes' office right now doing it, dude. There you go, Flannel.
Some nice plants on there. Make sure you water those plants, Flannel. Don't forget.
Yep. Yeah. Water the plants, Flannel, and try and get through those books, my friend. All right. Take care, brother.
All right. Yep, you too.
See you later, brother.
See you, Flannel.
Yeah, guys. Yeah, he's got the best backdrop. I mean, I'll say the guy's got an elite backdrop.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
That guy's
that's so funny.
Hey, Flannel remembers this one. I have a wife.
Dude, I think it was at the Flannel at a stream, I think. And I was sitting the closest to him when he's hitting the wall. And I was just sitting there you probably go back and watch that stream. It was just probably Flannel standing here and me looking up at him like, oh my gosh.
My favorite Flannel moment is bots when he dropped the bots because everyone in the chat was
everywhere.
Everyone was glazing something that did. And he's like, bots.
Crazy. Oh, man. By the way, these USA teams losing to Venezuela right now, and it's not looking great. I'll just throw that out there. So, yeah.
Yeah, brutal. Absolutely brutal, man. What's the score?
I just saw everyone cutting to the crowd and just Venezuelan fans just screaming at American fans. This isn't good.
Jeez, man. I mean, this is just
it's 2-0 though. Aaron Judge is up.
Let's see here. Drop those mailbag questions. Let's see, Trey. Do you think we draft an edge before the 3rd round, or we are just signing one during free agency?
I think there's
Final said.
Yeah, I mean, me and you both said it throughout the show. I think there's a possibility for both. I think that they're not done in free agency. Again, you need 5 or 6 edge rushers. You need 5 or 6 on the roster when you're rolling, right? And they only have 3 right now, including Ahmed Hassanin, who hasn't played yet for you. So you need to make a move. And then also, listen, this is the thing too, Jeff, with the edge, and we keep mocking the Lions drafting an edge in the first 3 rounds. We keep mocking it. Dude, we've done this for the last 4 years, mocked an edge to the Lions in the first 3 rounds. It has not happened one time. So at the end of the day, it's who are we kidding ourselves? We're basically doing what we would do if we're Brad and what we want Brad to do. There's probably a 10% chance that Brad Holmes actually drafts an edge in the first 2 rounds because he just has never done it. So, I guess, my bad. Aiden Hutchinson. Sorry.
Aiden Hutchinson is the only pure edge he's drafted in the first 3 rounds.
Well, I mean, the one. Well, like, I'm just trying to think what would be like make you the maddest or any of us the maddest. Like, imagine he drafts like Kenyon Sadiq at 17. Like, my jaw would drop. I would crash the stream. Like, I would break the stream. We would not be live anymore.
Yeah, I would be devastated. I would be absolutely devastated. Let's see here. Mr. Jiggles, mailbag. If we could trade up into the top 10, who would you pick?
Oh, trading into the top 10? I have a hot take with that. If you're going into the top 10, you could go tackle, but I think if you're going to the top 10, you're getting one of the top defensive players. Either give me Arvell Reese or give me Sonny Styles. One of the two. I'll take one of like Arvell Reese is going to be an edge in the NFL. I know he's could play kind of Sam position, so he could do the Derek Barnes spot, but I think you just go pure edge for him. Let him come off the edge. But Sonny Styles, linebacker, essentially, I think you would throw him at. And let him just go to work. Him, Derek Barnes, and Jack Campbell would be something else.
Mm-hmm. I think if it was, I would say it would be if you're trading up into the top 10, I'm with you. It's for a defensive player.
Yeah. Because
now you're getting you might get your hands on like a David Bailey would be.
Love David Bailey, by the way. You know who mocked him number 2 overall? Remember who was the first person that said, "Hey, who's number 2? He's the second best player in this draft," or Booner when we were at the combine? Your guy, Mr. Mel Kiper, has him going number 2 to the. I think it's the Jets at number 2.
Does that raise concern?
Yeah, a little bit. I'm not a Mel Kiper guy. But I'll grab any straw that I can with David Bailey.
Mel Kipe. I would say, honestly,
fits my narrative.
You know what I'm battling? Because I love and respect Klotz, and I really do like Ruben Bain. I don't know what to do with him, man. He's so good.
I would take David Bailey. I would take Sonny Styles.
Oh, well, not over
Reese.
David Bailey, but like if let's say like if you could trade in the top 10, he's there.
I would rather take Monroe Freeling. How about this? Do you want me to make you a deal? Do you want to see David? Do you want to see Ruben Bain? You want to see? This is him coming off the edge.
Yeah, that's what they're saying. That's what they're saying.
That's Ruben Bain coming up.
Yeah, that's what they're saying. That's what they're saying.
But he is an absolute dog, though. I'll tell you what, he can play ball.
Yeah, he can, man. And he need an edge right now. It looks really good, dude. If they got Ruben Bain. Let's see. ETM mailbag top 5 favorite sporting events.
Dude, I saw a graphic. I think Foxy from the McAfee Show quote tweeted it, and it split up all the major sporting events of the year into 2. And I'll tell you what, Jeff. Like the Masters was on it. The NFL playoffs was on it. I'm trying to think of some sporting events. You can go on this one if you want.
Yeah, top 5 favorite sporting events. I mean, the easy answer. I'll rattle off some very easy ones. I mean, you're going the Super Bowl. You're talking about the NBA Finals, like some of the bigger sports. I mean,
yeah,
Stanley Cup. But I'll give you some other ones that I really like watching. I enjoy watching the World Cup. I really do. I enjoy watching the World Cup. I know it's a weird thing. I really enjoy watching. I'll be honest with you. And
I think
the Olympics. I love watching the Olympics. Like the gold medal game, I guess specifically.
I do love the Olympics. Is some of my favorite. The World Cup. I feel like the World Cup. We actually had this conversation when I got into it. Was actually it's kind of crazy that Adam's in the chat right now is on the morning show. Before I was like 6 years ago, before I was even like
Adam actually got me into it. To be honest.
Yeah, before I was even with Woodward. Oh, no, it was like my first year at Woodward, actually. Adam and you guys were watching it live on the show, and me and him were betting it. We were messaging each other and betting it, and he kept calling me during the show, and we were just placing bets on the World Cup.
And then another sporting event, does the NFL draft count? That's definitely one of my favorites.
Yeah, I think that's up there. That's a pretty sick one. I think the Masters is up there.
For sure.
I think March Madness, I think, counts as one big sporting event. I'm going to take March Madness up there. This is the graphic, too, by the way, that I was. If you had to choose one.
Ooh.
I think it's an easy B.
Yeah, it's B.
I love the Masters, one of my favorites, but like the NFL playoffs, March
NBA
Madness,
March Madness, and you get the
World Cup,
Yeah, I'm taking B, dude.
and the playoffs.
It's not even close.
I would never get rid of March Madness, dude. I think that's the greatest because it's essentially March Madness, essentially like the Super Bowl, except it's like 4 weeks and it's just constant like
Mayhem. It's just like
yes,
happening.
like the NBA playoffs or the NBA playoffs is like spread out, but it's not mayhem until like maybe the finals or the conference finals. March Madness, you get a full on month.
Yeah, I would take B easily, man. I would take B easily. Hey, Adam said, mailbag, how come the Lions signed this effing loser and never bothered making an offer on my kid? So Adam hates the signing. Breaking news.
Adam falls under the category of people who any depth signing, they're going to treat it as if he should be a starter. He's under that category.
And me and Adam, I mean, like that's why, like Adam and us aren't even far off with the big picture stuff. But it's like on an individual, on a breaking down DJ Wanham, it's like, bro, he is.
Well, it's just. I mean, they could sign like they're like sixth safety, and people will be like, "Oh my gosh, why'd they do it?" It's like, dude, they need depth. Like
they need bodies in the room, man.
You need a roster, man. You roll into training camp with 90 players. You need guys. You have 50 guys on the roster.
Jay Hart says, mailbag, what are the odds Brad is saving cap space to trade up into the top 10 in the draft and draft a DN or offensive lineman? I don't think you save cap to project a trade up. I don't think that's how that would work, to be honest, Jay Hart. I would be shocked because that's like you're a little irresponsible, in my opinion.
I don't know about project, but I think flexible, like to be flexible to where.
But that's the thing. Brad always likes to have some money saved. That's why when you see 30 million, it's not really 30 million. It's like 12 for the draft class, and then he likes to have a little bit of a safety fund, which I like. He's had $30 million as a safety fund. He kept like $20 million 1 year.
I don't know why he didn't, by the way. Just why did they refuse to restructure more money just to have it? I mean, just to be like, we have it. We can do something.
Yeah. But no, Jay Hart, to answer the question, I don't I think it's low odds, to be honest. Ethan says, mailbag, are we good?
I'm good. Are you good, Jeff?
Are we good? I'm doing good. I'm doing really good. I think depends what you define as good, Ethan. Are you talking about are you referring to maybe making the playoffs? Absolutely. I think they can make the playoffs. 4th place schedule, I don't see why not. But if we're talking about big picture, if you're talking about edge right now, they are not. They are not good right now. They are not good right now.
So no, some of Adam's questions are.
Yeah, I mean, Adam's just trying to get us taken off air here. I don't know what. This guy's an absolute. He's an idiot. I mean, that's just all like
Adam's in his post like media life, and he's just let her rip.
0 F's given in there, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. Flair says define aggressive. Oh, that's funny. By the way, you know what I was watching today? Real quick, shout out before we end the show in a couple of minutes. I want to make sure I mention this. You know what show came on today? When I stopped by and got a haircut, you know what show was on? Deal or No Deal. Remember that? Dude, that show?
I do.
By the way, Deal or No Deal?
It's a stressful show, to be honest, man.
I think one of my favorite game shows of all time, Deal or No Deal. It's up there for me. Just in childhood.
Some of those for me. Yeah, I don't want to say that we were far apart, but like some of those Nickelodeon game shows, those were like mine. Like I would always be watching those over like a Deal or No Deal. So I feel like some people like grew up watching like Deal or No Deal or different things like that, and I was like locked in on like Guts. Xavier D put it in there, The Hidden Temple, like those different shows. Like that's what I was like dialed in on as a kid. I never really watched those until I got older. So, deal or no deal. I mean, why were you watching those? We know why.
I watch what I have older siblings.
Yeah, no, we really know why you were watching Deal or No Deal.
I was watching Shark Tank randomly
I was watching Shark Tank as a kid, but I mean, not as a kid, but like high school and college. I wasn't watching Shark Tank at 9 years old.
No, I was in like my teens and Shark Tank's on. I'm like, what the hell is this? Deal or No Deal was on. I was like, this show's cool. The show's badass.
Dude, by the way, you know Hanch in the chat. He sent me a bet today, and there's one leg left of it. I don't send it to you anymore because you said you're right now you're retired. He sent me a bet. He put together a parlay where it's NBA players to score in the first 3 minutes, and he just parlayed a bunch of guys. And he was gone 3 for 3, and the last guy, it's Nikola Jokic. It's plus 470. Nikola Jokic to score in the first 3 minutes of tonight's game, and I hit a plus 470 bet. And he just sent it to me. It was Jalen Green on the Suns, most random player of all time. Jalen Duren, SGA, and then Jokic. I've never heard of that bet before. Score in the first 3 minutes?
Dude, I think I came to a realization after the football season. I need to only bet during football season. I can't win a damn thing.
See, I disagree. March Madness, I think you know me.
No, me.
You?
Not you. I'm saying me. I can't win a damn thing besides football.
I mean, you should. March Madness is not that hard to bet. I think you could win. Dude, I'm 1-0 already. Last week, I went crazy in conference championships, and I got all of my bullets, essentially, to be able to play the tournament, and I'm already 1-0. I took Howard money line plus one, like 107 or something. Boom, 1-0. Like, you can get a feel for March Madness real quick. You can, if you get hot in March, you're hot in March Madness. I'll tell you what. And I've been hot in March Madness before, and it's the greatest feeling of all time. I think you can get hot in March Madness. You just got to play it smart. 2 or 3 leg parlays. Don't be doing those 15 legs. 2 or 3 legs, maybe a couple straight bets here and there. Money. You'll come up on top.
It's fair. We'll be back tomorrow. By the way, tomorrow is the day of the doc. We'll have John Macaroon on. So he'll give his opinion on free agency. So be there tomorrow, 8 p.m., 8:45. Doc comes on. Come hang out with us. But until then, follow us on social media platforms. All links are in the description. And subscribe and like the stream before you leave. And get your merchandise, officialctsports.com. We'll catch you tomorrow. Until then.
Love you guys.
See you later.